Excellence, Monsieur Gordon Bristol, merci de nous recevoir dans votre bureau. Vous êtes l'ambassadeur de la République fédérale du Nigeria ici en France. Nous allons parler de la célébration du cinquantenaire que vous intitulez Golden Jubilees. Nigeria celebrates its Golden Jubilees.
Your Excellency,
Merci. Les pays francophones fêtent le cinquantenaire par rapport aux indépendances et vous célébrez en quelque sorte le jubilé d'or du Nigeria. It's important for you to say Golden Jubilees on the French countryside, cinquantenaire des indépendances.
Merci beaucoup. Bienvenue à l'ambassade du Nigeria en France. Pour nous, au Nigeria, cette célébration c'est très très important parce qu'il constitue un point tourné. For us, it's very important. Now, en anglais, in English, anything that is a 50th anniversary, be it a wedding, be it the independence of a country, is referred to as Golden Jubilee. And that is the rationale, that is the point for us referring to this 50th anniversary of Nigeria's independence as the Golden Jubilee celebration of the anniversary of our independence. Now, en français, in French, it is cinquantenaire, meaning the 50th anniversary. Cinquantième anniversaire or cinquantenaire. But in English, any 50th anniversary is called the Golden Jubilee. Now, if it is 25 years, it is called the Silver Jubilee. Now, the Golden Jubilee, I think, especially for this occasion, is aptly named. It is very appropriately named. Because, of course, 50 years is a very long time. It is half of a century. For an individual, 50 years, I think in all jurisdictions, in all countries, constitutes more than half the lifespan of an individual, even in those countries that have very long lifespans. Now, in many developing parts of the world, including Africa especially, 50 years actually is even the entire lifespan, the average lifespan of individuals. Of course, countries are not individuals. Countries live forever. Nigeria will live forever. But even at that, 50 years is a long time from when we got our freedom and independence from the British. And so this Golden Jubilee anniversary is very important to us. But I want to add one point here. In as much as we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of Nigeria's independence with some vigor, to me, the other anniversary that is coming up 4 years from now is actually the more important anniversary. And that will be the 100th year of the foundation of Nigeria as we know it today, as a country, as a political entity, following the amalgamation of the northern and southern protectorates by the British to form the colony and protectorate of Nigeria in 1914. So 1914 to 2014 will be the centenary anniversary of Nigeria as a country, as we know it today. 4 years hence, 2014, it will be a very important celebration for us.
Excellence, 50 ans après, qu'est-ce que l'on peut dire du Nigeria sur le plan politique, sur le plan économique et sur le plan socio-culturel?
After 50 years,
Yes.
a lot has been achieved. A lot remains to be achieved. By 50 years hence, we hope to achieve even more. I would say that, generally speaking, the first 50 years of Nigeria's independence could be taken as a learning period, a period for learning. Learning in virtually all areas of national life, be it politics, be it economics, be it social organization, etc. Now, the next 50 years should be the period of consolidation and expansion, the period of growth and development, enduring growth and development, the period for political stability, the period for economic advancement, social cohesion, the period for peace, stability, tolerance, the period when the job of molding the over 300 ethnic groups, nationalities that constitute present-day Nigeria would be molded into a true nation state, making a nation out of these nationalities, over 300 nationalities, actually now molding them into becoming one united, indivisible nation with a common national mind frame, a common national viewpoint, a common commitment to making Nigeria fulfill its manifest destiny as the largest country in Africa, as one of the largest countries in the world, blessed by providence with human and material and natural resources to contribute its quota to the global community. The next 50 years should see us achieve that, in my view.
And cultural, social, what do you say?
Well, culturally, Nigeria is already contributing a lot to global culture. To start with, the area, the territory that constitutes present-day Nigeria has within its borders ancient kingdoms whose cultural contributions to humanity date back to millennia. Many years ago, we mounted an exhibition that went around the world called Treasures of Ancient Nigeria. The artifacts from Benin, from Ife, from Igbo-Ikwu, the kingdoms and city-states of the Niger Delta, their rich history, their rich culture, from dance to technology, from music to even sartorial culture, the culture, the artifacts of the monarchs of the Benin Kingdom, of the Kanem-Borno Empire, of Ife. Those constitute parts of global, the corpus of global cultural and artistic expression and artifacts. Now, our social mores, our social values also constitute part of the global heritage. In the last 50 years, there have been in part erosion of these social values, of these mores, of these values. Respect for elders, the affinities that exist in families and between families, the cohesion that exists in communities, the emphasis on the interest of the community as opposed to the interest of the individual being seen as part and parcel of the community, who has to subordinate his or her own requirements and priorities to the communal requirements and priorities. The emphasis on concerting of efforts by communities to tackle the challenges of development. Now, we've allowed Western individualism to erode some aspects of this otherwise beautiful culture that we have. Perhaps some of it is inevitable because, of course, Nigeria is part of the global community. But I think that in some cases we may have to revisit and rediscover these social linkages, that gave traditional African society such vibrancy and such capacity to accomplish tasks that otherwise could not have been accomplished by individuals. I hope that in the next 50 years, even as we are talking about material and physical development of Nigeria, we should also be rethinking the philosophical approaches to development. The things that exist in our culture that can aid our development, that can humanize our development, such that we don't end up with a development that only places emphasis on the individual as opposed to the larger group, the community, the nation, the state.
Excellencies, when we look international, or what you say, international institution, do you think that Nigeria have a good tradition with him?
With?
International institution.
Oh yes, that is one area where in the last 50 years, Nigeria, any dispassionate assessment of Nigeria's contribution to the international life, to international relations, would reveal that Nigeria indeed has accomplished a lot in this area. Barely had the Union Jack been brought down in 1960, then Nigerian troops were being sent to the then Congo, now Congo DRC, as part of ONU, as part of the UN peacekeeping forces, to stabilize the situation in the Congo. And that force was eventually led by a Nigerian. 7 days after independence, Nigerian forces were in the Congo as part of UN peacekeeping forces. And since independence, Nigeria has been part of all major United Nations peacekeeping efforts, from India, Pakistan, UNIPOM, to also to Cambodia, to Liberia, Namibia, you name it, Nigeria has been there. Angola, UNAVEM, Nigeria has been there. Nigeria also mobilized a lot of human and material resources in the prosecution of the struggle against the last remaining vestiges of colonialism in Africa. Namibia, you name it, Angola, Zimbabwe. We also mobilized enormous resources to lead the fight against the scourge of apartheid in South Africa. Throughout the existence of the UN Special Committee Against Apartheid, United Nations Special Committee Against Apartheid, Nigeria, the Nigerian permanent representative to the United Nations, was always the chairman of SCAP, the Special Committee Against Apartheid. We were a permanent member, so to speak, of the United Nations Council for Namibia, which was set up following the abrogation of the mandate that was given to the then South Africa to lead Namibia, which was originally a German colony, to independence, which mandate the apartheid South Africa violated. Once the council was set up following the abrogation of that mandate, Nigeria was a member of the council. I myself, as a much younger diplomat, served as Nigeria's alternate representative on the UN Council for Namibia. And the council prosecuted the struggle, Nigeria leading the way until Namibia became independent in 1989. Nigeria has been part of, in fact, originated innovative peacekeeping strategies using the platform, the AU, using the platform of ECOWAS in Chad, in Liberia, in Rwanda, Burundi. Nigeria has always been at the forefront of the struggle. Now, not only that, even the philosophical underpinnings of the African regional and sub-regional organizations from the then OAU, founded in 1963. You remember, there was, well, if you look at the historical records, there were different approaches between the Casablanca bloc and the Monrovia bloc. Eventually, essentially, what came out of the OAU was the ideas of the Monrovia bloc, which Nigeria led. Functional cooperation. Now, following the metamorphosis of the OAU into the AU, again, the underpinning philosophical approaches benefited from Nigeria's immense contribution as to how African unity, and African cooperation should be organized. ECOWAS, the most successful sub-regional economic grouping, was founded by Nigeria and Togo. They took the initiative. The head of state, the Yakubu governor at the time, working with late President Yadema, led to the formation of ECOWAS before the rest of the West African countries came together. In the area of cultural diplomacy and cultural cooperation, Nigeria has hosted the Second World and African World Festival, cultural festival, known as FESTAC, where again there was a colloquium that was devoted to discussing which way to go as far as the revival of African culture was concerned, revival of African art was concerned, and the way African art and culture could dovetail into the project of developing the continent, learning, of course, from our history and from our culture and from our art. So Nigeria has done a lot in the area of international relations, contributing to the functioning of the global system as we met it and as we know it, and even following the collapse of the dead Soviet Union and the onset of a new global order. I remember that as a young diplomat in 1989, Nigeria sounded a note of warning during that year's session of the General Assembly that the emerging new world order should be collectively defined, collectively designed, and collectively defended. Now, because the emerging world order has not been collectively defined and collectively designed, but was imposed largely, it has not been it is not being collectively defended. Because there is a sense that there is imposition. There is a sense that there is imposition. There's a sense that it is imposed on the rest of the community. Now, were this system to have been collectively defined and collectively designed as we envisaged, as we warned, as we called for, then there would have been greater willingness on the part of members of the international community to collectively defend it. But right now, as you know, from Iraq to Afghanistan to elsewhere, we have problems defending the global system. The global system has not been redesigned to the satisfaction of all members of the international community. Yeah. The institutions that we inherited from the end of the Second World War, notably the Security Council of the United Nations, which is the major body for promoting international peace and security, that institution remains the same. The same. Many decades after the end of the Second World War. The permanent membership of the United Nations Security Council does not reflect present global realities. Africa is not represented in it.
What do you suggest?
We have been consistently, along with other like-minded countries, calling for a reform and expansion of the United Nations Security Council with a view to securing representation in the permanent membership category of that council for continents and parts of the world that are not represented in it or that are underrepresented in it. Africa is not represented at all. Asia is underrepresented.
We have South Africa.
South Africa is not a member of the permanent. Is not a permanent member of the Security Council. There is no African country that is a permanent member. There is no African country that is a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, and no African country deserves to be a permanent member of the U.S. Security Council than the Federal Republic of Nigeria, given all the sacrifices that we have made and continue to make in the area of that council's primary responsibility, namely promotion of international peace and security. None. None.
Excellence, nous allons revenir à des choses beaucoup plus gaies. Parlez-nous de la structuration dans l'organisation que vous avez mise en place à Paris pour le cinquantenaire du Nigérian.
Oui, in Paris here we have a fairly robust program which started on the 24th of September with a Jum'at service at the Paris Central Mosque, a special Jum'at service devoted to marking the cinquantenaire here in France. After that service, the following Sunday, the 26th, we had a special service at St. George's Anglican Church, again devoted to praying for the people of Nigeria, showing solidarity and praying for peace and cohesion and development and progress for Nigeria. The two religious services were very well attended. Now, on Tuesday, the 28th, the morning of Tuesday the 28th, we had a lecture, a conference en français, that was delivered by a Nigerian in diaspora, Philippe Megwali, a man that was described by former President of the United States, Bill Clinton, as one of the great minds of the information age. Some have called him the Bill Gates of Africa, etc. A man who programmed the supercomputer to the point of it becoming an internet winner of the Gordon Bell Prize, which is regarded as the Nobel Prize in the world of computing. He delivered a lecture that was well attended on the topic Nigeria Then, Nigeria Now, and Nigeria Forever. Following that lecture in the morning of Tuesday in the evening, we had a photo exhibition at the Musée d'Appé, the D'Appé Museum, one of the better museums here in Paris, which ran concurrently with a performance by one of our best dance groups from Nigeria, the Swange dance group from Benue State. And I seize this opportunity to thank the government and people of Benue State, especially His Excellency the Governor, Chief Gabriel Suswam, who made it possible for the group to come to perform here in France. And not only that, also sent the First Lady of Benue State, Her Excellency Mrs. Architect Mrs. Suswam, to represent him as our special guest of honor. The Benue Swange dancers performed on the Tuesday and also on Wednesday, yesterday, the 29th, in Paris-Passou with the photo exhibition. Now, on the 1st of October, we are going to have the grand reception, the diplomatic reception, at the Pavillon de Monnoville, one of the larger pavilions here in Paris, and Bois de Boulogne, to which the French government is sending a representative to be our special guest of honor, and the person of Monsieur André Paron, the diplomatic advisor on Africa at the Élysée Palace, will be there. The diplomatic corps will be there. Functionaries of the French government from the Kidose and elsewhere will be there. And Nigerians and friends of Nigeria representatives of French companies that do business in Nigeria. Total is a co-sponsor of this event. So is Air France. So is Sanofi, Aventis, MEDEF, which is the umbrella organization for French business. Nigerians will be there in their full plumage. And there, I'll have the privilege to deliver a statement on behalf of the government and people of Nigeria, a statement that I hope would sensitize the community here in France to what Nigeria has been in the last 50 years and what our hopes are for the next 50 years. Now, after that reception, the following day there will be a reception that will be exclusive to Nigerians on the grounds of the residence of the Ambassador. And that will wrap up the activities that we have lined up to commemorate this cinquantenaire, this Jubile d'Or, this Golden Jubilee, this cinquantième anniversaire Fête Nationale Nigeria.
Thank you, Excellencies Gordon Bristol to receive our magazine in your office to talk about Golden Jubilees in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
God bless you. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you. Same here. Thank you.
O kumberenya sisi. Mbana sa somona. So se indigo.